"We're shifting gears," David declared, that little half-smile I couldn't stand playing on his lips. "Appreciate your contributions, but we need folks who fit the new template." I'm Michael Reed, 39 years old. I'd been the top sales guy at Horizon Solutions for the last 8 years. At least, I was until just under a minute ago. I just nodded. Didn't argue, didn't beg, didn't bring up that I just wrapped up our best quarter in company history. Didn't point out I personally pulled in more than half of all our income. Didn't ask what shifting gears even meant. Understood. "Good luck," I said, standing up. David looked almost let down, like he'd hoped, maybe even planned, for me to blow up. Something to make whatever story he'd tell about me after I left sound better. Instead, I just walked out calmly, leaving my stack of top performer plaques in the cabinet. 8 years of getting results, just collecting dust. He could keep them. Back at my desk, I cleared out fast. A few photos, my coffee cup, the baseball my buddy Sam signed after I helped him get his first big round of initial money. While I was packing, everyone else just stared at their screens, typing like mad about nothing. No one made eye contact. The personnel department gave me the usual leaving talk, reminders about not working for competitors, a list of company stuff to return, a link for a survey. The person across the desk seemed uncomfortable. She knew the numbers I brought in, knew what I was truly worth. I handed over my badge, laptop, and company phone. "Really sorry to see you go, Michael," she said, and I could hear she genuinely meant it. "Thanks," I replied. As the elevator went down, I wasn't angry. Not exactly. Something colder had settled deep inside. A quiet certainty that David Johnson had just made the biggest mistake of his entire working life. He'd only been at Horizon Solutions for maybe a few weeks, spouting all the latest business buzzwords and ideas from some fancy coastal tech company. He was fixated on making the sales culture more hungry, whatever that was supposed to mean. What David didn't realize, what the personnel department never thought to check, was that every single one of my top clients had personal connections to me. College roommates who'd started their own places. Friends from my wedding who were now in charge of buying things. Old friends I'd known since before Horizon Solutions was even a thing. On his spreadsheets, they were just account numbers and income figures. To me, they were connections built over many, many years. I walked out to my car, my jacket thrown over my shoulder. My phone, my own phone, buzzed with a text from Kevin, my top client. "Lunch tomorrow?" I smiled for the first time that day. I'd been with Horizon Solutions since they were just starting out, working from a rundown garage in Capital City. Back then, it was just 20 of us with big dreams and empty pockets. I was employee number 11. My job was simple. Bring in clients, keep them happy, help those connections grow. That's exactly what I did. Not by giving away cheap stuff or taking people golfing, but by actually giving a damn. By remembering birthdays and asking about their families. By calling just to check in, not just to sell them more. By being a helping hand, not just someone selling them a service. When my old roommate Kevin started his transport firm, I was the first one he called for software. When Sam's clean tech company needed security help, I brought him on board. When Ben expanded his distribution business, I made sure we scaled with him. Over 70% of my client list came from people I knew before they were clients. The rest came from them telling others about me. The first sign of trouble showed up about 4 months ago during a check-in meeting. Our CEO introduced David Johnson, brought in from that coastal tech company I'd never heard of. His hair was too neat, his smile too wide. Everything about him screamed ambition with no real substance behind it. "David is going to totally revamp our sales methods," the CEO announced. "Make us sharper in the current market." I'd heard that kind of talk before, usually from people who'd never actually sealed a deal themselves. 2 weeks later, David called a sales staff meeting, showed off a new way to get clients that involved aggressive cold calling goals and using template-based talks, made a big deal about tracking key performance indicators and data. Not once did he mention relationships. After the meeting, my friend Ben texted me, "Your new boss seems like a piece of work." Another warning came during a client lunch. David insisted on joining Kevin, my most important account, and me, talking over him, constantly interrupting with corporate jargon that made Kevin clearly uncomfortable. In the parking lot afterward, Kevin pulled me aside. "That guy is going to cause you problems, isn't he?" I brushed it off, saying he was just finding his feet. But something in my gut knew better. The way David looked at my client list, the way he questioned my methods, but never the excellent results I got. When he started having one-on-one chats with the newer sales staff without including me, I should have seen what was coming. The signs were everywhere. I just didn't want to believe someone could be foolish enough to torch something that took years to build. I didn't call anyone after getting fired. Didn't need to. By 8 p.m. that evening, my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. First was Kevin. "Just got an email introducing my new account manager. What's up?" Then Sam. "Some kid just called me. Said he's taking over my account. Are you all right?" Ben. "Your replacement just called. Sounded about 22. Are you switching roles?" One by one, my phone lit up with similar messages. 20 clients, every main account I managed, all reaching out within hours, not because Horizon Solutions had contacted them, but because they wanted to hear it from me first. I sat on my back porch, a drink in hand, watching the capital city skyline as dusk settled over the area. The anger I'd expected never showed up. Instead, a cold, clear understanding washed over me. David had made a fundamental error. He'd looked at numbers instead of people, seen income instead of connections, figured out my worth based on what he thought I did, not getting what I had actually built. My phone rang again. This time it was Sarah from Apex Logistics, a client I'd brought in 2 years ago. "Michael, what in the world is going on? I just got the strangest call from some fellow saying he's my new contact." "They let me go this morning," I said simply. Silence on the line. "Are you serious? After the quarter you just had? New VP has a different way of seeing things." "Well, his way better include finding a new shipping company because I am not working with whoever this new person is. Did they even look at how much business you bring in?" "Apparently not enough. I'm calling Eleanor right now." Eleanor was our CEO. "This is ridiculous." "I get that, but don't put yourself in a tough spot. Michael, you've bailed us out of major tech issues late at night. You came to my dad's funeral. This isn't just business. It's personal." After Sarah, I took 4 more similar calls. By 9 p.m., I turned my phone off. Needed to think. I wasn't going to actively mess with Horizon Solutions. That wasn't me. But I also wasn't going to shield them from the results of their own poor choices. In the morning, I woke up to an email from Maria Rodriguez, the sales VP at Summit Beverages, Horizon's main rival. We'd met at industry events over the years. Always been friendly. Heard what happened. Unbelievable. Let's grab coffee this week. I didn't have to wonder how she knew. News travels fast in our industry. As I showered and got dressed that morning, something inside me shifted. The loyalty I'd felt toward Horizon Solutions, the company I'd helped create, completely evaporated. They hadn't just fired an employee. They'd cut off connections they didn't even know existed. I texted Maria back. "Coffee sounds good. Tomorrow at 8:30. Her response was immediate. "Perfect. I have some thoughts I think you'll like." For the first time since walking out of David's office, I smiled, not out of spite, but because I finally grasped my true value. And so would Horizon Solutions. Soon enough. The coffee shop Maria suggested was across town from the Horizon Solutions office. Smart thinking. The business world in Capital City was too small for running into people by chance. Maria looked exactly as I remembered her. Sharp, sure of herself, without needing to try too hard. No power suit, just sensible clothes and an easy smile. "They're fools," she said after we exchanged hellos. "Everyone in the industry is talking about it. Everyone. When the top person at a competitor suddenly becomes available, people notice." She sipped her coffee. "Especially when that person is bringing in more than half their income." I shrugged. History now. Not according to my phone. It's been blowing up since yesterday with clients asking if we've hired you yet. That caught me off guard. Your clients are asking about me, Michael. You've built real connections across this whole industry. People trust you. That's rare. She slid a folder across the table. So, here's what Summit Beverages is ready to offer. Head of Client Success. A team of 7 reporting to you. Base pay 35% higher than what you were making, plus a really good bonus plan. I looked through the papers. The numbers were better than I'd expected. And total control, she added. Build your division how you want. Sounds promising, I said carefully. But I need to be upfront about something. The non-compete rule in my contract, Maria waved her hand. Already ran it by our legal team. It's basically not enforceable. Courts here rarely uphold them, especially when someone is let go without cause. Still, I don't want to start a legal fight. Agreed, which is why we're suggesting a 75-day consulting arrangement first. After that, full employment. It was a solid plan, well thought out. One more thing, I said, my clients. We're not asking you to break any rules about keeping things private. But if your former clients happen to look for new vendors on their own, I nodded slowly. That's their business choice. Exactly. I took a day to think it over, but the decision was already made. I signed the consulting paper the next morning. By then, the negative fallout had already begun. Kevin's company, my biggest account worth nearly $7 million annually, had paused all ongoing projects with Horizon, citing a relationship review needed. Corporate talk for, we are not happy. Sam's clean tech firm had asked for complete documentation of all their processes to get ready for a possible change in vendors. For more clients had said no to meetings with the people newly assigned to their accounts. I hadn't planned any of it, didn't need to. These were my friends reacting naturally to broken trust. That afternoon, my phone rang with a number I didn't recognize. I almost didn't answer. Michael Reed. Michael, it's Eleanor Vance. Horizon CEO. My stomach tightened. Eleanor, what can I do for you? I'm calling to understand what's happening with our client base. Of course, now she wanted to talk. I'm not sure what you mean, I said, keeping my voice even. I've been gone just under a week. Several key accounts are suddenly threatening to leave. Kevin from Westgate Distributors says he'll only talk to you. The connections I built were personal, Eleanor. You know that. Michael, be reasonable. Those are company accounts. I haven't contacted a single client. If they're reaching out to me, that's their choice. We need you to help with the change, make introductions, smooth things over. I almost laughed. You mean clean up David's mess? Silence on the line. Then the senior team has concerns about his decision. We could talk about you coming back. Same job, 15% bump. Too little, too late. I appreciate the offer, Eleanor, but I've accepted a position elsewhere. Another pause. I see. I hope you'll at least consider not actively trying to take our clients. I don't need to take what's already leaving on its own. After hanging up, I felt no triumph, just confirmation of what I'd already known. Horizon had only valued the income, never understanding the connections that created it. Now they were figuring out the difference the hard way. 3 weeks into my consulting arrangement with Summit Beverages, I met Kevin for lunch at our usual place downtown. The restaurant wasn't fancy, just a reliable spot with good burgers and private booths where we could talk freely. David's been calling me every day, Kevin said, shaking his head. Yesterday, he offered a 20% price cut if we'd restart the project schedule, and I told him it wasn't about the money. Kevin took a sip of his iced tea. Then he started saying negative things about you. Said you'd been on your way out anyway. Had performance issues. My jaw tightened. Real classy. That's when I told him we were looking at other options and hung up. This pattern repeated in chats with other clients. David was scrambling, making desperate offers while also trying to undermine me. Classic damage control from someone who knew he'd made a catastrophic error. But there was something else going on, something I hadn't expected. Sam called that evening. You're not going to believe this. I asked for a complete data backup just in case, and they're blocking it, saying our contract doesn't guarantee we can move our data. That's not right, I said. Clause 18F specifically covers data ownership and moving rights. I know, I have the contract right here, but their legal team is suddenly interpreting the language differently. The following day, Ben reported similar issues. Then Sarah. One by one, my former clients were finding out that Horizon was making it difficult for them to leave. I called Maria immediately. They're purposely creating roadblocks to leaving, I explained. System glitches, contract twists, sudden updates that only affect clients who've said they might leave. Maria wasn't surprised. David's trying to save his job now. The senior team is pressuring him about the income outlook. This goes beyond normal ways to keep clients. They're essentially holding onto client info. Maria's voice hardened. Get me proof. Every instance, every client affected. Our legal team will have a field day with this. Over the next few days, I collected evidence. Screenshots of export features that suddenly didn't work, emails denying access to services they were supposed to have, recordings of conversations where Horizon representatives made thinly veiled threats about losing data if clients ended their contracts early. But the real bombshell came from Ben, who accidentally forwarded me an email he'd received by error. It had been meant for David. Attached is the client retention plan you requested. The email read, "We found technical obstacles we can use to slow down moves for the read accounts. Legal believes we can drag these actions out for 4 or 5 months at least before facing any significant penalties." Attached was a table listing every single one of my former clients with specific ways assigned to keep each one. It wasn't just David. It was planned, coordinated, intentionally difficult. I forwarded everything to Summit Beverages' legal department. Their response was immediate and powerful. This was interfering with business and potentially breaking data privacy rules. That evening, I sat on my porch again, watching the capital city skyline. The city looked different now. 8 years at Horizon, believing I was part of something worthwhile. All that time, I'd thought I was building something important. Not just client connections, but a company with integrity. Now, I understood the truth. When faced with the results of their mistake, Horizon's leadership had chosen blocking things over being responsible. This wasn't just about me anymore. It was about 20 businesses, many owned or run by friends, being purposely harmed to cover up someone else's failure. My phone buzzed with a text from Maria. "Legal team ready. Board agreed to full action. You ready for this?" I texted back one word. Yes. The quiet, clear feeling I'd had before became something stronger. Determination. This wasn't about revenge. It was about what was right. Summit Beverages' lawyers moved quickly. Within 2 days, they wrote stop and desist notices addressing Horizon's blocking tactics with specific references to contract breaches, data privacy violations, and unfair business practices. But they didn't send them right away. That was my choice. "We could send these out tomorrow," Maria said during our strategy meeting. "Stop their games right away." I shook my head. Not yet. I have a better way. My plan was simple but worked well. Help my former clients protect themselves. First, I created a detailed guide showing every tactic Horizon was using to block moves, along with the specific contract terms that protected client rights. Nothing in it broke my confidentiality agreement. It was simply a helpful resource explaining standard industry contracts. Next, I set up a series of industry get-togethers, small friendly meetings where my former clients could connect with each other for the first time. No formal agenda, just business owners and leaders sharing their experiences. I attended just the first one, made introductions, then stepped out. "Sorry, there's a potential conflict here, but you all might find you have some shared business challenges worth talking about." By the fourth such meeting, they'd formed their own informal group, started sharing info, comparing notes, finding out they weren't alone in their struggles with Horizon. Meanwhile, I was building something new at Summit Beverages, not just hiring people for my team, but designing a whole client success division focused on building long-term connections rather than just making deals. Maria gave me total freedom to put my vision into practice. The results show everything, she said after looking over my progress. The senior team is very happy. A month into our strategy, the pressure on Horizon really increased. Clients were together demanding that Horizon stick to their contract terms, now equipped with specific knowledge of their rights and what Horizon was supposed to do. When multiple big accounts all at the same time threatened legal action over the same issues, Horizon couldn't play it off as a coincidence. Someone was guiding the response. Eleanor called again. This time, her tone was different. Worried. What do you want, Michael? What will it take to end this? I'm not doing anything, Eleanor. Your clients are simply using the rights they have in their contracts. We both know you're behind this. The board is thinking about suing you for interfering with clients. You let me go, Eleanor, I reminded her calmly. Any talks I've had with my friends since then have been personal, not work-related. Friends, she said blankly. Yes, friends. That's what you and David never understood. These weren't just accounts to me. The line went quiet. Then, David has been fired. I'm sorry to hear that, I said, and I meant it. Losing a job unexpectedly was something I understood all too well. We're ready to make things right. Full data access for any client who wants it. No fees for leaving early, smooth transitions. It was what my former clients deserved. That sounds fair. And we want to talk about bringing you back. Executive director role, direct access to the senior team. Now that was surprising. I thought about it for about 3 seconds. I appreciate the offer, Eleanor, but I've found my place. After hanging up, I contacted Kevin and the others, not to tell them about the conversation, but to let them know what was happening. You might find Horizon is more willing to cooperate now. Within a few days, Horizon announced an improved client moving program offering exactly what Eleanor had described. They called it a proactive customer care effort. Everyone knew the truth. By then, my new department at Summit Beverages was really taking shape. 4 of my former team members from Horizon had already joined. Others were getting interviewed. Maria stopped by my office late one evening as I was finishing up our department's main statement. I heard Horizon lost 9 big accounts this week, she said, leaning against the doorframe. I kept typing. The market shifts. And is it just a coincidence that 8 of them signed with us today? I finally looked up and smiled. Must be our improved client moving program. She laughed. Well, whatever you're doing, keep at it. The senior team is talking about you having a spot at their level by the end of the year. I nodded. But the title didn't matter to me. What mattered was building something that couldn't be ruined by one person making a bad choice. Something based on real connections. 9 months after joining Summit Beverages, I walked into our quarterly senior team meeting with Maria and the top leaders. The presentation I'd put together was simple. Department progress, expected income, client keeping numbers. As I finished, the head of the senior team leaned forward. These numbers are remarkable, Michael. 16 new enterprise clients in 3 quarters. Keeping almost all clients. What's your secret? No secret, I replied. We invest in people connections, not just sales. The head of finance spoke next. And the Horizon accounts, 18 of their 20 top clients have switched to us now. 19. As of yesterday, Maria corrected, sliding a folder across the table. Ridgeline Systems signed this morning. A 12-year contract. Quiet reactions around the table. To be clear, I added, we've never directly approached Horizon clients. They've come to us, often after having difficulties with their moving processes, which have been well documented, Maria said, patting another thicker folder. Our legal team has everything if Horizon ever wants to try and take action. They wouldn't. Not with what we had. Not with their reputation already damaged. The room became silent as the head of the senior team looked over the newest numbers. Finally, he looked up and nodded towards me. The senior team has made a decision. We'd like to offer you the job of Executive Vice President of Client Success. Immediately effective. I accepted with a simple handshake. No boasting, no big words. That afternoon, the announcement went out. My phone immediately buzzed with a message from Kevin. Just saw the news. Congrats, EVP Reed. Moments later, my assistant knocked on my door. You have a guest, Eleanor Vance from Horizon Solutions. No meeting. I thought about telling her no. Decided to allow it. Send her in. Eleanor looked worn, defeated. Congratulations on the promotion. Thank you. What can I do for you? She placed a folder on my desk. Horizon is exploring being bought. We'd like Summit Beverages to think about making an offer. The buying deal went through 5 months later, not because I was still angry, but because it made good business sense. Summit Beverages' senior team saw value in Horizon's technology, maybe not their client handling. I insisted on one point. Every Horizon employee would be given a fair look for positions in the combined company. Nobody would go through what I had experienced. On the day the deal was finished, I drove to Horizon's office, the converted garage where I'd spent 8 years of my working life. The place looked smaller somehow. The employees who stayed gathered nervously in the main meeting room for my talk. I'm not here to clear out people, I began, looking at familiar faces. I'm here because what we are building at Summit Beverages is based on the same idea that should have protected me here. Relationships are important. They are worth putting time into, worth protecting. I saw relief in their eyes. They understood. Your jobs are safe if you want them. What you add is valued. All I ask is that you bring that same dedication to relationships, with clients, with colleagues, with partners, to everything you do moving forward. Afterward, I walked through the empty sales area one last time. Stopped at my old desk, now cleared of the person who was there temporarily. My phone buzzed. A message from Ben. Heard the news. Fitting outcome, my friend. I smiled, looking out over the capital city skyline from the window near where my workspace used to be. The view was exactly as I remembered it, but I was different, stronger, clearer about what was important. I texted back, not about getting even, about building something better. Then I walked out, not bothering to look at the empty spot where my awards had been. I didn't need them. The real value had never been on that wall. It had been in the connections I'd made, the relationships I'd built, the ones that lasted when everything else fell apart.